Taylor has the Trumpers triggered. The stake starts now. Welcome, everybody, to the second show this week of the stakes. You got a twofer this week because we had a debate on Tuesday and it was awesome and we were excited and we hung out till midnight talking about it because Kamala Harris, as my friend Michael Steele would say, spanked that ass.
When I saw that clip, it was like obviously all over Twitter.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta see this. And he's like, how do you feel about this, Michael Steele? And he's like, she spanked that ass.
I mean, it's so Michael Steele. It's very Michael
amazing.
After Dark, you know, like we know him and
listen,
I miss having him on air with me, but you know, and since he got his gig at MSNBC, he can't come on air with us anymore. But that's him and I love it. And I was thinking when he said that, I was like, maybe she should have spanked him with a Forbes magazine. Maybe that'll make him do a second debate.
Right?
Because I don't know if you guys have heard, but Donald Trump said today, no, he's not doing another debate. What a coward. Coward he is. I don't know, though. He might, we see polls, and right now, I just saw the CNN poll. She's 5 points ahead nationally. National polls don't really matter, but they do show trends. So she's outside the margin of error now. And Trump may not like that too much. And if it stays like that and she keeps this momentum going, he may have no choice but to do another debate with her to have a moment.
Yeah, because I mean, if there's one thing about Donald Trump, he doesn't like anybody else taking the spotlight. Nobody else but him.
Nope.
I mean, the whole thing, I mean, after the RNC, obviously, when that was over and then Joe Biden dropped out, he was like, doggone.
I got shot.
Right. Remember? I got shot. And there was a convention and like, you could tell like that the whole momentum happening after that made him so crazy. And then made him literally crazy. So
crazier. He can't take it. He hates it. And, the talk about him, how badly he lost the debate hasn't stopped. We're 48 hours after it and it's still going because it was that bad for him.
I can't.
And even his own people acknowledged that he got his ass whooped. And the excuses that they're using are unbelievable. Everything from it was rigged to the camera angles were bad.
And she had an earpiece. Did you hear that one?
Oh, yes.
That her earrings were like pending. I'm not kidding. I saw this from a bunch of MAGA people that her earrings and they had like her earring next to like some other earring and it's like there's a speaker in it and they were
was it a tinfoil earring? Did she have tinfoil earrings?
It was metallic in some way.
Oh my God. So it can transmit. Well, I think the nuttiest one that I've seen so far is that, and it was from some Christian nationalist pastor that said witchcraft.
How many of them?
Witchcraft. I forgot his name.
Witchcraft. We're going back there.
Yes.
We're going back to Salem. Cool.
Yeah. That's why it was some kind of voodoo witchcraft that caused Donald Trump to have such a terrible debate. So they're acknowledging it was a terrible debate, but it was everything else, including the vapors. That's why Donald Trump shit the bed so badly. Yeah, no. How about the reason why he was so terrible is because he's terrible and she's fantastic. And she prosecuted the case like I said she would, that she would cross-examine him in front of the American people. 67 plus million people watched that evisceration.
Yeah. It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of folks. And some people are tuning in for the first time because it's after summer. People are back from summer vacation. The kiddies are back in school. The parents sat down and said, all right, we got an election. Let's see what's going on here. Right. And that's what they got. A stark reminder that Donald Trump is out of his freaking mind.
And unfit to lead.
Correct. And she's a normal human being and not talking about, Haitian immigrants eating dogs and cats and your pets and stealing geese.
Oh, girl, I can't.
It's not. So for those who don't know and who are still wondering, like, what the fuck, what is that about? What the hell? Michelle, you did some research on this today. Will you please explain where the frick this came from, this insanity. And it's killing me that we're even talking about this again. But
I know. I don't want to give it oxygen, but like, if there's anything that we've learned is that if you don't fill the void with information, correct information, the bad, wrong information will make its way in, and we don't want that.
No.
So at least here we can talk about the truth here. And what happened was, there was another situation in another city in Ohio, Canton, Ohio, where this woman who was arrested, who was a United States citizen, was arrested, not having anything to do with the Haitian immigrant community, because she was doing something gruesome with someone's cat. That happened. Now,
but in Canton, Ohio, which is nowhere near Springfield, Ohio, shout out to Canton, where the NFL Hall of Fame is. But anyway, so random Black woman, American citizen in Canton, Ohio, is something wrong with her, obviously, was doing something terrible to a kitty. And somehow this turned into this. How?
Right. And I don't know who picked that up and ran with it. Somebody crazy did, obviously. But then, as we were talking about, I think it was on Tuesday, we were talking about this, that JD Vance had talked about it on the floor of the Senate at some point. Obviously, that's his state. And then he took a clip of it and posted it the other day. And then it just, all of a sudden, everybody's talking about it.
And then posting pictures with cats and all these weird AI things. It was obviously coordinated.
Oh, super coordinated.
Yeah.
And I think I noticed it like Sunday night into Monday. Like I there's no, even then I didn't think, oh, they're going to bring this up at the debate. I was shocked, honestly. And we'll get to why he probably did in a moment.
Yes, that's next.
But Springfield, Ohio is a small city of about 58,000, 60,000 people. And there was an influx of Haitian immigrants that came here legally to Springfield, Ohio, because there was a lot of manufacturing jobs and it was a very affordable place to live. So they, parked there, living their lives, contributing to the United States in the way that every immigrant community has since the dawn of our country's existence.
Yep.
So from that, we can take that maybe the people in Springfield were none so happy about all of these new people who speak different languages or look or sound different than they do. And then something happened with that and some wires got crossed and MAGA and right-wing people picked it up and ran with it. And that is what is leading us to today, where this cat and dog thing, it's not a thing.
It's not a thing,
real.
people.
It's not true.
No.
And they keep saying it anyways, because why not? I mean, I saw Ted Cruz tweeted this morning, why do Democrats hate cats?
And so did Trump. He did the same thing. He put an AI photo of a cat holding up a Kamala sign that says Kamala hates. Why do you hate me or hate us or something like that?
Right.
First of all, Donald Trump is the one who hates animals. Mary Trump has said this many times. We said this on the last show. He hates animals. He doesn't like dogs or cats or anything else because he's a weirdo and a weird megalomaniac. And so he doesn't like animals. So this whole thing of them trying to kind of co-opt the cat thing is interesting to me. Like, don't think we haven't noticed the irony of that.
Well, right.
It's not an accident. Okay.
No. And also, like, what a freaky thing to talk about. Like, okay, we don't like the cat lady narrative, so we're going to double down on it, triple down on it. And we're not going to like that. And they're not going to stop hitting us on this and attacking on this. So let's go with there's immigrants who eat cats. Like,
it's so
on
weird.
What planet?
It's weird. And it's almost like it dovetails with the weird grotesque nature of Trump's obsession with Hannibal Lecter. Right? Like there's just this, it's just all so grotesque and morose
so weird
and weird.
And
yeah. And like very in the basement incel, like dude culture.
Right.
And that's who Trump is trying to appeal to. Obviously, he's not trying to appeal to moderate women like we are.
Well, he knows that he's hit the ceiling of his base.
Yeah.
And he can't expand it, certainly with all the shit he's bringing to the table. So he's trying to dig down deeper and deeper into his MAGA base and try to pick out those RFK Jr. like incel weirdo voters and have them vote for him for the first time, which is a really risky strategy.
I don't think there's enough of them. I mean, there's a lot of them, but I don't think there's enough of them.
There were.
Yeah, I know. We find this out every day. If you go into the dark depths of the interwebs, you find them, and Joe Rogan has all his followers and those people. But the other part of the Haitian immigrant thing too, and just the flat out racism of all of this is just so disgusting. And I have a lot of Haitian friends, and the Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, is of Haitian descent. And she was pretty animated today and disgusted with it. And I don't blame her because it's just so outrageous and racist and horrible. And what it does is it puts these communities at risk. You were telling me earlier today that there was a bomb threat at City Hall in Springfield. And, because the city manager has come out and gone on national television to debunk this nonsense. And they had a city council meeting recently where the parents of a young child that was killed in an accidental car accident. It was an accident, and unfortunately the son died. And they were very upset the fact that Donald Trump and MAGA world, they have taken his son's name and they keep using it to attack Haitian immigrants. And they were like, do not do it.
Right, because there was a Haitian immigrant who was found guilty by a jury
of involuntary.
It was actually vehicular manslaughter. So not great, right?
No,
but these poor parents are like, it's one thing to think that you can't protect your child when they're here, but it's another to think that you can't protect their honor and their memory while they're once they're gone. And I think that is so heartbreaking. And if you go and watch this video of these two parents, it's just,
I retweeted it.
You can tell that they're
in English. It's horrible.
Yes, it's
horrible.
And then the father
doesn't care.
Yeah, well, no, they're the F your feelings people. But the dad was saying that his son was a beautiful child who loved everyone and didn't care where you came from or what you look like, and this is certainly not something that he would have liked at all. So
again, MAGA doesn't care because they're sadistic fucks and they don't care, and they will use and say anything, use anyone. They will exploit anything to try to scare people into believing lies. And so, because fear is a hell of a motivator, as we have seen. So it's despicable. And, the more we get the facts out there, the more it's important that people know the truth. We have to do that. I mean, as much as I didn't want to talk about it. And something else that we noticed, and Michelle, you and I were talking about this earlier too, that the algorithm on Twitter, Elon has done something since the debate where I'm getting these horrible cat torture videos and like I was like, what is happening? I really haven't been active on Twitter the last couple of days because I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. And it's clear that they are suppressing anyone that's pro democracy or pro Kamala. And they are boosting the conspiracy theories, Trump's bullshit, and the rest of these horrible people that are putting out these lies. And one of those people is Laura Loomer. How many people know who Laura Loomer is? Probably most people do not, unless you really, really follow MAGA and really, really follow she's up there with Charlie Kirk and some of the actually worse. Way worse. She's with the Nick Fuentes type of people. And the Tim Pool, these people who are calling for the mass execution of journalists and people who don't support Trump. She is one of the most awful, despicable human beings on the MAGA side. And she ran for Congress. She's in Florida. She ran for Congress in West Palm Beach.
Yes.
She is only 31 years old. And if you've seen pictures of her,
31.
Oof, she should be on the show Botched. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Listen, her injector needs to be fired.
But she needs to be fired. She's horrible.
Well, she's a Holocaust denier. She's a 9/11 truther. I have a list of things here. She used to work for Project Veritas. Now, if you remember James O'Keefe, they go undercover and try to catch liberals saying things.
And they selectively edit to make it dishonest, and then they got caught doing some dishonest shit. And you know, they had to dismantle Project Veritas, I think, or he got kicked out. He got kicked out. It's a whole thing. So they're awful. Keep going.
And she's been deplatformed. Well, she was deplatformed from Twitter, obviously, until Elon Musk came back and said, "Come on, back in. The water's warm." Facebook, Instagram, Uber, and Lyft. And I think at YouTube at some point, she has her show that's on Rumble now, which is like the MAGA, you know, YouTube. And then, you know, let's see, at one point she jumped the fence of Nancy Pelosi's house to protest immigration. And her defense was, well, if people can jump over the fence at the border, why can't I jump over Nancy Pelosi?
These people have too much time on their hands. They're just such losers.
I know. Let's see. In 2018, she handcuffed herself to Twitter headquarters in New York City when she had been deplatformed. So that's fun. And, you know, in addition to everything else, she's been tied to the far-right extremist group, the Proud Boys.
She's also buddies with Roger Stone.
Yes,
I don't know what kind. I don't know what kind of buddy. I'll just put that out there. But she's buddies with Roger Stone. If anybody knows his history, and she's a huge Islamophobe as well. That was like her claim to fame. That was really what propelled her into these the depths of hell of Trumpism.
And I think it's worth mentioning why she's in the news.
Yes.
Today.
Well, we had to give the background first.
Oh, yes.
People don't know her. So now that you know who this Laura Loomer horrible person is, she is in a cage match with her other MAGA fembot mean girl,
she is. Marjorie
Taylor Greene. This has been a brawl.
Allow me to walk you through this exchange.
Oh my God.
So Kamala Harris put out a very normal tweet talking about her Indian heritage and her grandparents. And Laura Loomer wrote, I even hate saying this out loud, if Kamala Harris wins, the White House will smell like curry and the White House speeches will be facilitated via a call center, and the American people will only be able to convey their feedback through a customer satisfaction survey at the end of the call that nobody will understand.
Yeah, so I don't even need to explain why that is horribly racist. And so Marjorie Taylor Greene, who like really has no standing here, no moral ground to stand on, talking about racists.
Incredible, actually. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, this is appalling and extremely racist. It does not represent who we are as Republicans or MAGA. This does not represent President. Sorry, I can't even say it.
It's like a Saturday Night Live skit.
It is. This type of behavior should not be tolerated ever. At Laura Loomer should take this down. Now, I didn't even see Laura Loomer's thing in the first place because she blocked me. I don't know when, but she blocked me a ways back. So I was seeing everybody else's thing, and then I had to, you know, switch accounts and like go look over there. So then she came back again.
This has been all day.
And but this is like 3 of probably like 10 exchanges back and forth. You know, then bringing up Marjorie Taylor Greene's story about how she cheated on her husband and had something going on with the people at her gym. I don't really want to know. I don't even want to think about it.
Gross.
But Eric Swalwell said something very
Eric Swalwell's good for the comeback.
Listen, I have to assume he's writing his own tweets because this sounds like him. Right. Woman who wears white pointy hood complains her friend's hood is too pointy.
Well done, Mr. Swalwell. Well done, Mr. Swalwell.
And really, like, the scary thing about her, other than all the crazy, is that she's spending a lot of time as Donald Trump's right-hand person, advisor.
Yes, this is new. This is new that he's palling around with her. Because if people notice, Donald Trump goes through his inner circle all the time. Like it's a revolving door of terrible people and these lunatics, and the bottom of the barrel. These are not the best people.
They're not the best.
No, they're not the best. And so she is now the new it girl in his inner circle.
She's like the new Kellyanne in a way.
She is in some way, just nowhere near as smart or anything. But because I mean, to say what you want about Kellyanne, she's actually very smart. So
she's very, very smart and very good at what she does.
Yeah, Laura Loomer is not any of those things. She's a lowlife, and her and Marjorie Taylor Greene, you know, it's the fact that they're at each other's throats like this, trying to out racist the other one. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, so Laura Loomer now came back and was like trying to dish all the tea about Marjorie Taylor Greene, about how staffers said that she used the N-word all the time on a regular basis, how she used money to facilitate the that lunch meeting with Nick Fuentes, the Nazi, and Kanye West and Trump at Mar-a-Lago, how the stuff about her, you know, cheating on her husband in the gym, like all these things. And then Lindsey Graham got involved. Lady Lindsey got involved, and she basically tried to out him. Like it's been crazy. I mean, it's in the greater scheme of things. Down. I know it's just too much. Yes, I'm going to faint. Lady Lindsey, he needs to lay off the sauce. But he's like, that's like such the worst kept secret in Washington. So she's really not saying anything.
Right.
But the reason why we're talking about this is because, to Eric Swalwell's trolling point, like these people are the bottom of the barrel, and they're literally arguing over who's worse and trying to say that they are representative of the Republican Party.
Right.
So Republican strategists who are already like wringing their hands and pulling their hair out because Trump has been so terrible lately and he's tripling down on these things. Now you've got this. This is what people are talking about. Yeah. They're talking about dog eating and cat eating and geese stealing and as a thing, instead of going after Kamala on policy issues that they think the American people would resonate with them. This is the worst thing you could possibly do at this point in the campaign. But this is what Donald Trump is doing. These are the people he's surrounding himself with. He took this horrible bitch with him to the 9/11 memorial on Tuesday. Yeah. How dare he? What an affront.
It is a sacred day, right?
Yes.
And to parade that woman around the families of people who lost fathers, brothers, mothers, sisters, best friends, husbands, you name it. Not to mention the tremendous loss that the city went through altogether, and the thousands of people who continue to die from 9/11 related illnesses.
Yep.
I don't know. It is the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. And this man is from New York. He's from Queens. If this doesn't show you that he doesn't give a shit, I don't know what will.
Well, that's why people in New York hate him.
Well, yeah.
And that's why he got
everybody.
Right. They tried to warn him. New Yorkers were like, what are you doing? A lady screamed at him at the ceremony on Tuesday. It was like, where have you been?
20 years I've been here. Where have you been?
Right. Where have you been? He's the same guy that on 9/11, while the buildings were burning, said, well, now I have the tallest building.
Yeah. He called into a radio station to brag about it.
To brag about now he's got the tallest building in New York. Which is not true, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's where your mind is going, you psychopath. It's so despicable. But yet people just excuse this. They excuse it. He was at a rally today, tripling down, not doubling down, tripling down on the Haitian immigrant thing, tripling down on the fact that he said that he still won the election in 2020. But there's a new twist on it, which is interesting, because he got caught out there recently acknowledging that he lost by a whisker on some right-wing radio show that he called in.
Oh, right.
So now people are like, wait, what do you mean? You're admitting that you lost? What happened to it was stolen and blah, blah, blah. So
we stormed the Capitol for you.
Right. We went to jail for you. So now his story is, the new bullshit twist on this is that he thought that he was losing. And Melania and everyone thought, on the day of, it looked like he was losing. But then he got a phone call from a political reporter who called him and said, sir, you're going to win this. You know that there's all these people who are going to the polls they won't tell us who they voted for, but we know that they voted for you. You're actually winning. And all these people and political strategists told me that I was winning. That's the new spin on this now. So I actually won. I won. They took it from us. I was like, oh my God, this guy.
I'm so tired.
It's
so
exhausting.
tired.
But again, how is this moving the needle with moderate voters who are the ones who will decide this election?
Yeah.
It's not.
And I've been hearing a lot of from my people on the left complaining about Liz Cheney and Dick Cheney and like, who cares? And this isn't going to move a single vote. I beg to differ.
So do I.
I don't know that it's going to move a vote, but maybe somebody who's going to stay home is going to come out now.
That's correct.
Again,
I think it's a permission structure. It's what we do here
I was going to say.
To Tara's it's the permission structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the more and more people who do this, George W. Bush's former attorney general came out today.
Alberto Gonzalez, yes.
Yep. I mean, there's like a list of 200 other, Republicans who have come out to endorse her. It's not.
This is not normal, by the way. Just so you guys know, this is not normal in politics. You never have that. You might have one or two that are like disgruntled with the party. You don't have 200 plus former Republican administration officials, cabinet members, all of these luminaries coming out. Could you imagine the Cheneys ever endorsing a Democrat before this? Never, ever. But they are now. And I should tell people
Dick Cheney is like,
they used to call him Darth Vader. Like he's
right.
He was like public enemy number one to the left. They've said all kinds of horrible things about him and his family.
And I saw that movie about him in the movie theater.
Yeah, okay. I'm just saying that, it's not a small thing for the Cheneys. Now, I'm waiting on the Bushes to come out. I like George W. We've talked about this before, and I'm like, George W., where are you? But you're right. I don't think it's going to happen.
I think that they've signaled that it's not going to happen, and I don't know. It sounds like it's a family decision. And nobody's going to say anything, which I think is. Listen, George W. Bush wasn't my favorite guy by any means, and I think that he did a lot of things that were real bad. Personally, that's my opinion. I know. But he could really, here's his moment, right?
Yeah, I know.
Redeem yourself for all of those things, the mistakes that you made. Redeem yourself now, choose your country, do the right thing, and endorse Kamala Harris. What the hell is wrong with you?
I think he's scared. Because he doesn't want the smoke that you get. And the Cheneys are a little tougher than George W. He likes his cushy life, right? He's retired, he's painting, right? He's clearing brush or whatever the fuck he does. Like he's just, he doesn't want the smoke. And
I'm sure there's like, some
that's not an excuse, by
nephews
the way.
Or something. I mean,
George Jeb Bush's son.
They were going to try to run for office, and then like that didn't go very well.
No,
I don't know what they're waiting for.
They're milk toast. It's milk toast. Like you said, it's now or never. Like grow a spine. Like stop it. Come on. And I like George W. But he did make mistakes, and I actually, went up against him when I was advocating for those Border Patrol agents when I was a Capitol Hill staffer to get a pardon or a commutation for them because they were unjustly imprisoned and given ridiculously long prison sentences of 11 and 12 years for shooting an illegal alien drug smuggler in Texas. It was a whole thing. And I went like hard for 2 years, like as the Aaron Brockovich of that case, up against the Republican president at the time, who I supported, but they were not doing the right thing. And we wanted them to do the right thing. And ultimately, after 2 years, he did and commuted them in his last day in office. But I'm just saying, like, you got to do the right thing, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do the right thing. It's now or never. It's existential. This isn't just any regular election.
We're running out of time.
Well, you know who did do the right thing? Taylor Swift.
Oh,
we were on air live after the debate on Tuesday night, and we got the news that she put out the endorsement. I hadn't seen the photo yet where it was her with her cat, which is very cool.
It
was it was because we were doing it live and there was a lot happening. There she is. She is the childless cat lady who came out and endorsed.
Beautiful cat, by the way.
I know.
Just gorgeous.
Beautiful. So now the MAGAs are triggered. Now, I sent you this video. We don't have it because I saw it like just as we were coming on air. Megyn Kelly, who we talked about on Tuesday, has lost her damn mind. she went on this rant because she was so pissed off that Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And she goes off on this crazy rant and zeroes in on the LGBT stuff and trans stuff, which is just such a non-issue. Like, it's like so rare, and they're making it as though
that's another thing that Donald Trump said today, that people are sending their children to school and they're doing surgeries on the children and then coming home a different. I'm like, stop. That's
this is what they're saying. But this is what they're saying in the right-wing crazy towns. And Megyn Kelly, people like her, are perpetuating this. And she went on and on and on and on and said, F you, Taylor, F you, and F anyone who thinks that this is okay. And I mean, like, insane. She's like, oh, you think you're ever going to get any more Republicans to buy your music? Good luck with that, Taylor.
She's the most famous pop star in the world.
In the world. She's a billionaire. She's a billionaire. Okay. Like, stop. These people are insane. And they all have been going on and on about how horrible this is. You know why? Because Taylor Swift has so much influence with young women in particular. She is legitimately moving people to vote.
Look at this.
337,000 people visited.
More now.
Oh, I think it's over 400 now. Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I saw an interview today with Robert Costa from the Washington Post, who said that since she endorsed Kamala Harris and then also gave an acceptance speech at the VMAs last night, telling people to register to vote and vote for Kamala Harris again, that voter registration has gone up something like 400% or something in the last 48 hours, which is just unheard of.
9,000 to 10,000 new voter registrations per hour. Hour. So this is why MAGA world is flipping out. Because the Taylor Swift endorsement is a big effing deal. It's a BFD, as our president would say.
And listen, I think the fandom of Taylor Swift comes from two directions. I mean, for me, I was always just very agnostic about her.
Me too.
I didn't dislike her.
Yeah,
but
me
I have
either.
to say, watching her the last few years handle all of the fire that comes at her, the misogyny, and always stepping up to do the right thing. And the way that it just seems like such a kind person.
And super talented on top of that.
So talented.
She's incredibly talented.
And it's just the way that people talk about her dating guys is so disgusting, because they don't say that about Leonardo DiCaprio. They don't say about any of these other, And it's so anyways, I say all that
but she's weaponized it. She turned it around and then used it as a weapon right back at them, to shoot right back at them, and embraced it, and had some of her best albums were I'll take what you're saying and I'll turn it around and shoot it right back at you.
I mean, I was kind of Swiftie curious.
Yeah.
And now I'm full Swiftie. I have all her albums. I listen to them all the time. I love her.
I like 1984. That was my favorite. Or 1989. Yeah. Right? Is that the year she was born?
Yeah.
I like that album.
And the Travis both.
Yes. And it was she gave a shout out to Travis, her boyfriend, which was the first time she'd ever done that. So the Swiftie world went crazy about it. I hope it works out for them. I hope this is real.
I'm really happy.
They're so cute together. I hope it works out. Good for them.
But I want to talk more about just a little bit of that misogyny. It comes it's like a sickness that they can't control her, and that she has so much money and they don't think that she should. And one of the first things Elon Musk said, fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life.
What does that even mean, you weirdo?
Elon Musk has 12 children from 3 different women. He has some sort of obsession with, I don't know, doing that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that thinks that he's so important that he needs to populate the world.
Right.
Yes. And
populate the world with me.
And give weird names to his kids.
One of his children does not like him at all, and always comments on when he says things like this, and said that it was heinous incel nonsense. Wow. So, which I would happen to agree with.
Yes. It's very Claudia Conway of her. But go ahead.
Yes, actually, right. And then Dave Rubin, who is a right-wing podcaster. You know what? Let's just watch that clip.
Oh, good. Yes, it's better to let them hear it from them out of their own mouths.
Yeah.
And then let's talk a little bit about more how this fits into the pop culture part of this, because pop culture is a huge driver of the cultural narrative. Well, here's the tweet from Colin Rugg about the Taylor Swift thing, and we'll get back to it in a second. So as we referenced before, Taylor Swift endorses Kamala Harris on Instagram after the debate on ABC, proudly calls herself a childless cat lady. Elon Musk, who they hate, he saw that and he wrote this: "Fine, Taylor, you win. I will give you a child and guard your cats with my life." So he's mocking, he's exposing the ridiculousness, right? It's like, Taylor Swift, you are a young, pretty girl. Do you know what the gang members from Venezuela do to young, pretty girls? It ain't pretty. So what do we have to do? We have to keep finding each other to whatever extent we can. We have to keep waking people up. It is.
First of all, she's not a girl. She's a 35-year-old woman.
Yes.
Okay.
She's a grown ass woman.
She's a grown ass woman and
billionaire, a real one.
Billionaire, real grown ass woman. It's the threat of sexual violence.
Of course, that's what they do.
And this is another, I hope that we can have Ruth Ben-Ghiat on here
Yeah.
at
We'll
some
get her
point
on.
to really talk about how that is such an important piece to this authoritarian dictator strongman language.
Yep.
Is to dehumanize women, to belittle them and make them small, like call them a girl, and then threaten them with sexual violence.
Yep. It's a tactic.
Or insinuate. And it is, I mean, listen, any woman who's on the internet has had something said to them in that sort of way, some sort of threat of rape or killing, or I'm going to do both to you or whatever.
Oh, I have.
Yeah.
It's been, I mean, one of the threats that against me in 2016, when all of this started, was so graphic and so insane that the FBI was involved.
Yeah, I believe
and that's why when I was a CNN commentator, I used to have to be escorted by the armed security guards at the CNN building in New York, in and out of the studio. And I could not tweet before I was on air. Like I could, like now I because I do it from the safety of my home most of the time. But like I was told by the security team there, no longer can you tweet that what time you're gonna be on air until you're already in the building, because that way no one has enough time. And then I was like, wow, okay. So I've always been cognizant of that, and the sexual violence and the racism and all of that of those threats it's par for the course now.
Oh, yeah.
But it's never been okay, but it is part of the playbook. To your point, historically, that's what they do, because they think that that's the power they have over us as women, and we say not no, well, hell no.
Right. Exactly.
That's
exactly. Right. And on a somewhat lighter note, JD Vance was obviously in New York for September 11th with Donald Trump. Their stupid red ties. And he stopped over at News Corp at Fox Studios on 6th Avenue. And did a little interview, and he was asked about Taylor Swift, and instead gave a description of his boss.
How do you speak to women voters who obviously they care about what she thinks?
Of course. Well, look, we admire Taylor Swift's music, but I don't think most Americans, whether they like her music or fans of hers or not, are going to be influenced by a billionaire celebrity who I think is fundamentally disconnected from the interests and the problems of most Americans. Look, when
I swear to God, I think JD Vance's people hate him. They hate him because they set him up and he whips it every time.
I once again ask JD Vance, do you know we can hear you? Do you know we can hear you?
Right. Like,
because every day is bad for you. Every day.
He's just so repressed. He's so repressed. Like when JD can finally be his real true self, he won't be this terrible. Like after they lose, after we vanquish them, maybe he'll have a come to Jesus moment and get it together. But he's the worst. He is the worst. The worst. I'm telling you right now, how ironic will it be that women and Swifties will be the reason why Donald Trump and JD Vance and MAGA loses? How redeeming is that? I love it.
Listen,
I love it. The cat ladies are going to win this thing.
We vote. And we vote, we have voices, and we show up.
Yes. And we have mugs.
And
we have mugs.
Oh yeah. Do I have a picture? We also have merch here, guys.
Yes, we've got our cat lady merch. You guys have really been loving our cat lady t-shirts, and we figured since the ultimate queen of the cat lady, childless cat ladies, Taylor Swift, came out, we're like reminding folks, get your This Cat Lady Votes t-shirts. We have a whole bunch of them, and all in purple and in white, and we've got mugs too that say This Cat Lady Votes or This Childless Cat Lady Votes. So go get them at senecaproject.us. Go to our merch shop. We've got
That's right.
And when you get them, please post pictures and tag us so we can see you wearing it proudly. I was going to wear mine tonight, but I had to wash it. I didn't. I know. To put it in the dryer.
Laundry day. It's laundry day.
Laundry day, and I forgot to put it in the dryer. So, but yes, they're very comfy and they look good. Yes. The other thing too about this with Trump and JD Vance and just how awful they are doing. They have their surrogates out there like Stephen Miller, losing their minds. If we don't have the clip because we just can't tolerate watching him.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, guys.
Just can't. If you want to go and look at these freak show people, Google it. Stephen Miller was asked after the debate some questions about the claims that Venezuela actually has less crime. I mean, that the U.S. has more crime than Venezuela. And a Latino reporter asked him for 5 minutes straight, because he just kept going off on these rants about crazy things. So you believe the numbers that the dictator Maduro is giving you? Because that there's no proof of this. Where are you getting your numbers? So he just kept repeating like his lines and attack lines about immigrants and about them raping children, and you don't care. And it was just awful.
But the way though that he did like this, and he started shouting. I was listening to it last night.
Out of control.
My husband like gasped when he was listening, and he was like, "Is that Stephen Miller?" I'm like, "Sure is."
Yes,
he's
shiny
cuckoo. And he's angry. Shiny, angry boy.
And I can't believe someone actually married him and procreated with him. That's a scary thought.
Listen, there's somebody for everyone, I guess.
Apparently. In some other news, there's some news on the reproductive rights front. Something's going on in Idaho. What's happening there?
Well, it's more or less. So do you remember John McEntee? We talked about him. He worked for Trump, and now he's at the Heritage Foundation. And he's one of the ones that are out there saying we should repeal the 19th Amendment and stuff like that. So he's been making these straight to camera videos on TikTok. And he made one the other day, said, "Hey, can somebody find me these women that are bleeding out in parking lots that Kamala Harris is talking about?" Because basically implying she's lying, that this doesn't exist. Well, there's a young woman, and her name is Carmen Brewster, and she's 36 years old. She had a 19-day miscarriage and was turned away from 3 different hospitals. And I actually have the video here. She responded to him, and I have it right here. I'm going to play it.
Can someone track down the women Kamala Harris says are bleeding out in park?
Present. I'm right here. I had a 19-day miscarriage in Idaho because of the abortion regulations. I was turned away not from 1 ER, but 2 ERs. Technically 3, because I walked into one and they said they wouldn't help me and I had to walk out. On day 8, I went to the 3rd official ER that I got checked into, and I never did receive a DNC. They gave me 1 dose of pain medicine in 19 days. I continued to suffer exponentially for the next 11 days. I blacked out in my hallway due to blood loss. I stopped eating, so my daughter stopped eating. So I had to eat with tears running down my face because it was actually painful to eat because I was in so much pain. Everything hurt. But my daughter needed to eat, so I was not about to make her not eat because I wasn't eating. I developed a heart condition called AFib. It means my heart doesn't work right anymore. And it fucks up. So if I get too excited, too hot, too much in pain, too traumatized. If somebody yells at me too much, my heart fucks up. And so I have to regulate for my heart to keep active. Otherwise, I could have a heart attack and die. I have to deal with these side effects for the rest of my life because of abortion laws. And I can't control other people's actions. I can only control what I can do. But yeah, women are bleeding out in parking lots. I actually have a pinned video of me saying, they're gonna just let me fucking bleed out here, if you want to refer to that. But I'm present. Hi, my name's Carmen. You can Google Carmen Brewster and find the ABC article, the Insider article. Yeah. You can find a whole bunch. BuzzFeed. But yeah, we exist.
I'm so glad that you played that, because this is stories like hers, stories like Ryan Hamilton and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
These are just the stories that we hear about. There are so many more women who are suffering like this in these states with these draconian laws that were set in motion because of Donald Trump putting 3 Supreme Court justices on the court who lied about their position concerning Roe v. Wade, and they overturned it. And he has bragged about that. And the cascading effect of the overturning of Roe v. Wade is the suffering of women like Carmen and Ryan Hamilton's wife, and the women who are being airlifted out of hospitals in Idaho because doctors are scared to death of going to jail or being criminally prosecuted for treating women with real medical care that they need to save their lives and their fertility. Texas, Missouri, Louisiana, this is happening all over the country. They had trigger laws that were waiting for the day Roe v. Wade was overturned. They triggered criminalizing reproductive care. And they're going for IVF and contraception and everything else. So the fact that these people, and a lot of them are men, if you haven't noticed, are sitting here questioning the veracity of what women go through is infuriating. And for us at Seneca Project, we saw these stories and we said, we have to tell these stories. We have to have, as women, talking to women, not at them, telling these stories to explain what's at stake and what this would mean for the entire country if Donald Trump and MAGA had their way. Those are the stories. And if you don't believe us, that there are women out here who are trying to be honest about it, because there's a lot of Republican women who are not okay with this. South Carolina had state senators who were speaking out about South Carolina's draconian abortion laws.
Mm-hmm.
And they paid a price for it. Do we have the clip of this, of them?
We do. We do.
Take a look at this. This is South Carolina, and I applaud these women.
Maybe the men who wrote it know more about pregnancy than the women in this chamber who can actually get pregnant and give birth.
At what point did you know it might be the end of your political careers?
I knew at the time I said it because my party was like calling me and screaming at me.
2 hours before the vote, I was pulled off the floor and had a very strong, intense conversation. This could be a career-ending vote.
I didn't care. I had to look myself in the mirror.
They were the only 5 women in the Senate, in a state that they say has often left women behind.
In 1920, they gave women the right to vote. Well, South Carolina didn't ratify that till 1969, and then we didn't put it into law till 1973. We are just a little behind.
The filibusters were essentially their versions of mansplaining.
When someone makes a statement, well, if you're raped or if you get pregnant as a result of incest, it's not the child's fault. You just need to learn to love on the baby.
And that same senator held up a woman's picture and said that she told him that she was grateful to have been raped because it was the only opportunity God gave her to conceive a child, and I almost lost it. As a survivor of sexual assault, there are no words.
They didn't have words for the level of anti-abortion pushback either. Taunts, personal attacks, odd gifts left in their offices.
This is real. And women and our voices will not be silenced. We have to make sure that we continue to tell these stories and we continue to be honest, and that we are honest about our experiences, about the people we know. And for women like that, they call them sister senators, that they had the courage to stand up at putting their political careers at risk to do the right thing, so that women like that poor woman in Idaho and others do not have to go through what they're going through under Donald Trump's America.
Yeah.
That's what's at stake. That's why we named our show The Stakes. That's why we do what we do here at the Seneca Project, to make sure we bring these things to light and that we continue to put our messages in the battleground states with moderate women, because a lot of this hinges on how suburban white women vote.
Yep.
Because the Black women know what to do. They know the assignment, and they always have.
Always.
But it's the white ladies
that
yes. See, I'm biracial, so I get to I can poke fun at everybody. But it's the white ladies. Like I bust my mom's chops about it. I'm like, Mom, it's your folks.
It's true. White women elected Donald Trump.
Yeah. She goes, not me. I'm like, I know, Mom.
Not all of us, but a lot of us.
Yes. So,
and oh, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. No, I just wanted to say really quick that it takes a lot of courage to talk about these things, and to put yourself. Actually, I was in my notes here. They were awarded the John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award for their bravery in standing against their party and fighting for reproductive rights. And I know I've said this a few times on this show and in other places, that there's so much silence around women's health. You're not allowed to say miscarriage, or you shouldn't talk about your miscarriage. You don't tell people you're pregnant until X amount of weeks. I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball was pregnant. They could not say the word pregnant on television, and it would be several more years until they could. And when there is, again, that void, where there is a lack of information, people will fill that void with disinformation.
Yes.
And all that does is create danger for women.
Yes.
In health spaces, our pain is not taken seriously. In hospitals, I mean, we have one of the highest mortality rates of women going through childbirth in the developed world.
Particularly Black women,
yes,
which is a whole different set of problems as to why that happens as well, in the way that Black women.
Listen,
and that transcends a class as well.
I was just going to say, Serena Williams, if you go and watch her documentary when she's giving birth to her first child, goes through this. She was dealing with an embolism, I believe.
Yeah,
and a lot of pain. She couldn't breathe,
and the high blood pressure thing. I forget the name of that, but
preeclampsia.
Yes.
And they weren't listening to her, and she almost died.
And that happens every day. Every day. I remember I read a story when I was still back home in Jersey about a wealthy Black couple down, I think it was Livingston, which is a rather well-to-do area of New Jersey.
Yes. Yeah. I have friends in Livingston,
and 30-something-year-old upper middle class Black couple. The wife went in, had complications with her labor, and she was complaining about things. They weren't listening to her, and she ended up dying in childbirth. They lost her, and she was like a lawyer or something, and it was like, and she had 2 young kids already, and it was like, what? It never should have happened.
This never should have happened. We have every resource imaginable to us in this country. We have some of the best healthcare, maybe not access to that healthcare, but we do have some of the best medicine and healthcare in the world. And the fact that women are still dying of childbirth in 2000 or in 20, what year is it? In 2024 is absurd.
Yeah. And it's because they're not listening. And that's another thing too, and it takes courage to stand up and speak out. And sometimes, you get incoming, but it has to be worth it.
Yep.
And for us and for women in this country now, in this moment, it's existential. Literally, our lives are at risk.
Yeah,
and that's why we made our first ad called A Time for Choosing. And there's a line in there where we say that there will be no state you can escape to. I think we should show that. Let's show it to remind folks what we do here at the Seneca Project. Roll it.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion. We trust women.
There's a threat facing women in America that transcends party lines.
My country doesn't care about me.
And it's time we ask ourselves, do we still value the freedoms we have fought so hard for?
We should all have the care that we need.
This election is a choice, and it is a time for choosing. We're told we have to choose between left or right, but we know what the real choice is. It's a choice between our freedom or their control, between our right to determine our own destinies or Donald Trump. So seriously, America, what the hell are we doing? We can't sit on the sidelines while women in America suffer and die because a right we once had has now been criminalized. If we don't make the right choice, there's no state to escape to. There's no going back. Choosing who will shape our future is a right we still have left for now. And that choice is up to us.
I would like to say that not only did we write that together, but Michelle voiced that. That is Michelle's voice in that ad because she's also a talented voiceover actress. But that's what it's about, ladies and gentlemen, because we talk to the men too.
We need the men.
We need the men. We need our male allies. We have to. We're all in this together. But this is a time for choosing. This is not a time to be lukewarm or wishy-washy. You know, it's when Kamala Harris talked about this issue at the debate, she brilliantly incorporated people who have religious objections to this and said, listen, you don't have to compromise that. You're entitled to having those religious views, but we live in a secular country, and I don't think you want the government telling you what you can and cannot do with your body or your daughter's body, when you can have your family, when you can't. That is a form of control that Ruth Ben-Ghiat will tell. We're going to get her on the show. I'm going to call her.
I'd love,
she's on our advisory board. She's busy, and I'm like, we're going to get her
I know
on.
she's traveling. She's doing all kinds of stuff.
She's doing all kinds of stuff because she's amazing. But we're going to get her on so we can talk a little bit about the history of this, because again, it's the context of all of this as we explain what's at stake. And when we are putting these messages out there here, you know, we're a super PAC. We survive. We are run, fueled by your donations to us. This is how we do it. So we thank you guys for your donations and your continued support. And when you send your donations to us, this is what we do with it. And the more money we have, the more we can play those ads in the battleground states. So more of those women that we're trying to move those votes will see this and realize, wow. Because sometimes you have to you got to tell them. You can't be wishy-washy about this. And it also can't be enough of the like, we're sad and oh my gosh, we're so
not victims.
No,
we're not victims.
We're empowered.
Yes.
We still have rights, except for that one. But we have the right to vote.
Yep.
We have the right to vote.
And listen, it's not written in stone. Nothing is written in stone in this country. Nothing. And I think it was North Dakota today, their courts, there was a judge who overturned their very strict abortion ban. I think it was just like a no abortion at all at any time. Overturned that and said it was unconstitutional, I believe was the wording. Obviously there'll be appeals and all kinds of stuff like that. And it'll listen, I mean, now that Dobbs has happened, this is going to be a fight for a long time.
It doesn't end with this election, regardless of the outcome.
We're going to be, chasing each other in circles, fighting back and forth, state to state. This will be symbolically or literally on the ballot in every state going forward until this is decided at the Supreme Court level to reinstate our human rights again.
That's right. That's 100% right.
So, while we are in this moment thinking about 2024, and God help us, Kamala Harris has to win. She has to.
Must win. We must win this election.
Because the one thing that might be in stone, actually, is a Donald Trump Project 2025. I don't know how we come back from that, to be honest.
We don't come back from a Donald Trump presidency. Right. We don't. Right. And the more that we get that across, you have to realize that it's not just Donald Trump. He's bringing all of those miscreants and those lowlifes and those people who think that women should be second-class citizens and just vehicles to give birth and not have agency. All of those crazy people, the Stephen Millers of the world, the Johnny McAtees of the world, the Laura Loomers of the world, they come along with him.
Yeah.
Donald Trump isn't going to be by himself. He's going to surround himself in his administration, empowering these people with the power of the federal government. We cannot allow that. It will be
and the Department
end.
of Justice. I mean,
correct.
Let's be real.
Yeah, you could have I don't know. You could have Stephen Miller as Homeland Security Secretary. You know, think of the worst as the Attorney General. Like, and Donald Trump will appoint 2 more Supreme Court justices.
Yes,
because what's his name over there? The one that's taken all the trips. Like Clarence Thomas. Clarence Thomas is going to retire. If there's a Republican, he's going to retire at some point anyway, but like he will really retire if Donald Trump becomes president again.
Probably.
Yes, they'll both retire so that he can put 2 more like them. God knows who's going to be on there. So like, that's what's at stake, people. Like, this is so existential. We don't want to like scare people to death, but like this is,
but it's real. I mean, that's it, to the point of where we're talking about women's health and other things. Like, we have to have the hard conversations. We have to tell it like it is.
Yes.
Because, you know, while not everything needs to be dark and sad and scary all the time, there is an element of reality that we all need to be living in. And the other side doesn't seem to be living in that reality at all. They're on another planet. Really, here on our planet, we have to maneuver around, right, planet one. We have to maneuver around this because these people are holding office, from city council and school boards to president of the United States.
Yep, that's right.
This is a black mold situation.
Yes, good analogy. It's a good analogy.
It's not mine. I think Matthew Dowd from Texas.
Oh,
I heard him say
Matthew Dowd's good for those.
Yeah,
he's
it's
good
black
for those.
mold, right?
Yes.
You can't treat it. You have to cut it out.
You got to cut it out.
Or until
demolish
we
it
get to that moment,
demolish it all and build it fresh. So yes, there is no treating it. That is 100% true. And this is not going to be easy, folks. We say this every week. We have to remind people Kamala Harris may have the wind at her back right now. She might have had a bump from the debate, but it's still incredibly close.
She is the underdog.
She is the underdog. And I don't care unless she's winning by 20 points, which hasn't happened since Reagan in the 80s.
Yeah, I think those days are long gone.
Those days are long gone. A 5-point, lead in nationally is pretty significant, but not a cushion.
Right.
So we have to do this together. We can win, and that's what we say all the time. Galvanize women, and we'll save our democracy. That's our motto here.
And listen, I know we've been live here for a little bit, but there are a couple more things I would love for us to get through, and there's a lot of people here with us, and we thank you all for being here. So, there is some hope here. There is some hope.
We like that. We like hope.
We like hope, and we like things that we can do to help. Whether that be donate money, knock on doors, make phone calls. There's all kinds of things that we can do. There are 2 Senate races that are very, very close in places we didn't think that they would be. Yes. One of them is in the state of Texas.
I would love to see Ted Cruz out on his ass. Oh,
I mean,
Texas, come on.
Colin Allred is a stand-up All-American, salt of the earth guy.
Yes.
You couldn't ask for a better candidate. Yeah. You couldn't ask for a better candidate in the state of Texas.
Nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Ted Cruz is wildly disliked.
Yes. Ted Cruz is the worst.
I don't even know if I can call him senator anymore. Just podcaster Ted Cruz. And listen to
his own kids hate him. Okay. Like he is, his own family hates him. So
listen.
Yeah.
Poor kids. So yeah, this new polling came out on Friday, and it has him within striking distance. Now, obviously, again, it's Texas. Who knows? But I think he's probably going to get as close as anybody is.
I think he gets closer than Beto.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he has a broader appeal than Beto O'Rourke did. I think he's more authentic. And this is the moment here. And Ted Cruz has done so many things to turn so many people off. And the demographics in Texas, they've been changing for a long time because there's a lot of, Texas is a good state for business. It's low taxes. I have a lot of friends. I love Texas, actually. I mean, it's gone a little crazy lately, but I spent a lot of time there because of the border agent case. I got to know lots of people in Texas, from Houston to San Antonio to El Paso. Like Texas is cool. There's a little swag in Texas. You know, I used to joke that it was
everybody loves Austin. But
yeah.
I was like, I love Austin.
I've never been to Austin actually.
It's great.
I've heard. So I've heard. But maybe one year I'll get invited to the Trib Fest. That would be cool. So
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, it would be fun. But yeah, like the fact that Texas is within reach here for the Senate race is just incredible. So that's good news.
Yeah.
Also, Florida is within reach.
That's right.
Last night, I was at an event in DC. I will post the pictures. It was a beautiful sunset. And it was with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the soon-to-be Speaker of the House, Hakeem Jeffries. Jared Moskowitz was there. And Jamie Harrison was there, and my girl Jasmine Crockett stopped by. You know, she's not from Florida, but she's a star and a Spitfire, and I love her. But it was an event to talk about what's going on in Florida, because the Democrats they've not done a great job in Florida for the last 20 plus years, and the Republicans have really built a hell of a machine there. But things are starting to change again now in Florida. They've got the abortion thing on the ballot. That's a big deal. That's going to get people to cross over. And
marijuana.
Right? Yes, cannabis. And Rick Scott is not very popular.
He's another one. He's another one. We talked about him the other day, and his stupid thing with the babies dying or killing the babies in the 9th month, and like saying this grotesque stuff. He knows. I mean, I have to believe that this man knows that is not true, and he continues to say it.
They don't care.
But again, like states like Florida and Texas, who both have these draconian abortion laws that is putting women's lives in danger. And women who I believe there was a number, 60,000 women in the state of Texas who had been raped and had to flee the state. I don't know if those numbers are right, but I do remember that number, something like a 60,000 number.
I think it's not just Texas. I think that number
is that everybody?
Is like 60,000 women in
the
states that have the draconian, that had the trigger laws for abortion.
You're right.
You're right. Yeah,
I remember Colin Allred talking about that.
Yeah.
And listen, the world this is a different country than it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Dobbs changed everything. Yep. Republicans get abortions too. Republicans have miscarriages too. Doesn't matter. And
it doesn't matter.
To your point, Tara, you say this all the time. It doesn't matter if you have a D or an R next to your name if you're bleeding out in a parking lot.
That's
so
right.
you have Voldemort here.
He does look like him.
Listen, it's terrifying.
Oh my God.
Again, within striking distance.
Yes.
Dead heat.
This is amazing. So if you live in any of those states, if you live in Florida or Texas, please make sure, check your registration, because they're trying to futz with that. And make sure you tell 4 or 5 of your friends and get them out to vote. If they're thinking about it, doesn't matter. It matters. If I know this is a sore spot for my Democratic friends, but Florida was decided in 2000 by 537 votes. Was that 543? One of those. That was the difference with the Supreme Court case. Okay. So every vote matters. Please. And on that note, I think there's one more
thing. I just
go ahead, go for it. Oh,
because I think it's kind of fun.
The happy day of encouragement.
What?
Are we going to do the day of encouragement?
Oh, I can. We can do that at the end.
Okay.
The real end. But I just wanted to say, because this trailer came out, and
yes.
So
I can't wait to go.
The stuff with Donald Trump, right? And Tara and I were talking about this earlier today. Is why we decided to talk about this tonight. Is that there's a lot of Donald Trump's style that comes from a specific man. That you don't admit when you're wrong, you don't admit when you lose, and you double down and you lie and you say all the things. So that man's name is Roy Cohn. He's a lawyer, and he worked for McCarthy during the McCarthy
the Red Scare of the 1950s, the horrible McCarthy, not the pussy ass McCarthy that got run out of Congress, not Mike Kevin, the other one, Joseph McCarthy.
Right. And this man, I mean, he worked for the mob. I mean, he not great, not great.
Terrible guy.
But he is responsible for Donald Trump as we know him.
Yes.
Maybe not the personality brokenness of him, but the way in which he deals with himself. I won the debate. I won the election.
Yeah. Never conceding.
Never
admitting
conceding.
defeat. Never
Don't
conceding.
ever concede.
Never saying you're sorry and doubling down. If that's what you said, double down on it. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yes.
We tried to warn people about this back in 2016. Those of us, the OG Never Trumpers, we used the Roy Cohn thing as an example. And the media just kind of was like, yeah, kind of, sort of. And they did a couple stories about it. But like, once you fully appreciate the relationship between Roy Cohn and Donald Trump and how influential Roy Cohn was like a father figure to Donald Trump, because his own father was horrible to him and called him a failure and like did, you know, even though he gave him money and like helped him, but he always looked down on him. Whereas Roy Cohn kind of embraced Trump and brought him under his wing. So he was very, very, very close to Roy Cohn.
Yeah.
Until Roy Cohn got AIDS and got disbarred and then like died. And Donald Trump was like, he didn't want anything to do with him anymore because now he was embarrassed by him. But a lot of who he is in his public persona and how he approaches things is all Roy Cohn.
Yep. If you've ever seen Angels in America, the play or the miniseries, there's a character, Roy Cohn, is there for a reason. And there's a movie coming out next month called The Apprentice that is about Donald Trump's rise to who he is now, and the influence that Roy Cohn had on him. And we'd love to play you the trailer because we hope everyone will go see this.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yes.
Hello, this is Donald Trump from Mr. Cohn. Thank you so much.
Donald who?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Roy Cohn, nice to meet you.
The Roy Cohn, you're brutal.
Guilty as charged.
How do you always win?
There's rules. The first rule is attack, attack, attack.
It's going to be the finest building in the city, maybe the country, in the world.
Rule 2, admit nothing, deny everything.
There's never been anything like this, of this magnitude, this quality. Ooh, cheese balls over here.
What are you doing?
You want one?
No, it looks totally disgusting.
Cheese balls.
Rule 3, no matter what happens, you claim victory and never admit defeat. You have to be willing to do anything to anyone to win. You have a big ass. You got to work on that.
Your face looked like an orange.
Attack, attack, attack.
Deny everything.
Admit nothing.
Never admit defeat.
What if you lost your fortune today?
Well, then maybe I'll run for president. I don't know.
I say, if you're indicted, you're invited.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think
That's
it's
going to be
really good.
so good. First of all, I'm a Jeremy Strong super fan. If anybody watches Succession, he played Kendall Roy, and he is an incredible actor. He just won the Tony Award for Enemy of the People, which I had the opportunity to see in New York this spring.
And we ran into him.
Yeah, Michelle and I ran into him after we saw Suffs. After we saw Suffs for the first time in May, he was at this like
well-known Bar Centrale.
Yes, where a lot of the Tony Award winning Broadway folks hang out, and we happened to see him, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love you! You're amazing!" And he was a really nice guy. You're not allowed to take pictures in there, so I couldn't. But he was super cool and very down to earth, and I'm thrilled that he's going to play this role. And then Sebastian Stan. I mean, really has
inspired casting. And I love that it's not a caricature of Trump. You know, I think so easily someone could kind of go into the voice, but they're not doing that.
Nope.
It's a very well thought out, performance and choice. And I think it was the right one. And I think in that way, it'll probably make more of an impact on people. Yep. Obviously, it's probably going to be people like us who go to see it anyways. But I know that the Trump people tried really hard to make sure that this didn't get released, and somebody picked it up, and they were like, "We're going with it." So
they were like, "Too bad." Also, because they have a scene in there allegedly depicting the marital rape that Ivana claimed happened, and during her divorce
documents. But then she came back and said, "No, I was just kidding." And I'm like,
"Yeah, I wonder why." I
don't
wonder
know.
why.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
So I'm a big
anyway.
fan. Sebastian Stan, great. He played the shit out of the Tommy Lee role in the Tommy Lee and Pamela Anderson thing.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a huge Marvel fan. My husband and I are like insane Marvel like junkies, and so he plays, in the Marvel movies too. And he's a versatile actor. So I'm glad to see him venturing out. So just like Chris Evans, him too, played Captain America, and he plays some dramatic roles too. So we love it. We like it. So there's that. I think that we should Winter Soldier. Yes, that was the name. I was like drawing a blank. It's Captain America's best friend, Bucky. Anyway, I think we should end on a positive note.
Yeah.
Today's the happy day of encouragement.
Yep.
And
I actually saw this on Gretchen Carlson's Instagram today, and I thought, wow, what a great message for today to encourage people to stand up for what is right.
Yes.
To be courageous in your own lives, be courageous in this moment, have the tough conversations with people, because there is so much at stake. Our lives are at stake, our families, everything. And don't wake up on November 6th and wish you'd done more.
Yes. Amen to that. So happy National Day of Encouragement. We will see you guys next week.
Yes, you will.
In July 1848, courageous women came together in Seneca Falls, New York to start a movement. They dared to fight against treatment as second-class citizens. After decades of struggle, women fought and won the right to vote, to work without discrimination, to control our bodies, to even open bank accounts without the permission of a man. Each one was a triumph against those who believed we didn't deserve them. Well, today, those hard-fought victories are under attack. Donald Trump and his allies are determined to send us back to a time when we had no say, no freedom, no choice.
I got rid of Roe v. Wade.
Do we want a future where our daughters have fewer rights than our grandmothers? Where their bodies are state property? Their voices silenced? Their opportunities erased? We say hell no. We won't go back. This November, we must take back what is ours. For ourselves, for our daughters, and for the pioneers of Seneca Falls. It's up to us.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? There has to be some form of punishment.